Good morning, Sarasota.
Good morning.
All right. Look at this beautiful, beautiful crowd. All the years I've been here, and this is overwhelming. It's fabulous. Of course, our great Lord took care of the weather, and you people are going to take care of everything else. This next young lady, around here, we know her as JD's little girl, Janet Solomon.
Dear God, we recognize that we gather here again in a land of peace because of those who gave their lives for that peace. We briefly pause to remember their memory, and in some cases all we have is a photograph of a grandfather or a grandson who went off to war. For those you've taken, in our opinion, way too early, please take care of them until we can thank them ourselves. And as to the others, my son, their daughters, please tuck each of them in at night, every night, the way we wish we still could. Amen.
At this time, color guard captains, relieve your guard. Now for the main reason we're here. All veterans, please stand and be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our past, our present, and look around you, we also have some of the future. Thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you. Now for our guest speaker, Janet Solomon.
If anybody's doing the math, we've been here praying since 1960, but the kidnapping incident happened in 1989 in Colombia. But that is not why we were here, so I will get right to it. "Don't cut the leg," the soldier whispered as he awoke for a brief moment to the shock of the nearby nurse. "But it might have gangrene," she responded with as much kindness as a war-torn girl pretending to be a woman could muster in a situation like this. "They may have to take it." "Don't let them," the man repeated. "I say man only because wars have a way of making men out of boys, in a way they don't explain to you in the recruiting office. You could die," the World War II Army nurse ventured with caution. "But if I don't," the soldier answered with a steady gaze through the pain, "I've decided to serve God." "We'll be there shortly," the bright brunette answered as she approached the U.S. Highway 250 truck stop of Ashland, Ohio. Her violin was unpacked with her best winter boots, and her first stop was the chapel of Ashland College and Seminary. Within a month, she would make fast friends with fellow students Ken Solomon, Jeanette Delosier, and a wounded soldier named Bud. Together, the two couples would produce, among other projects, a boy and a girl who would someday marry and, yes, live happily ever after. From Chapter 1, Sailing Home, You Can Go Home Again, by Janet Hamel Solomon. You see, in fact, those two little kids are now sailing happily ever after across the street, next to a very different statue from the one where we gather today. We have two statues in Sarasota. And I don't know every veteran that served, but I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the one I grew up admiring. There's a plaque here and a couple other things that I'm going to pick up. My father, known in town simply as Bud, was the official volunteer chaplain for our city police, county sheriff, state of Florida fire departments, hospital, and veterans for almost 40 years. My first childhood memories, Hurricane Donna, with my dad in fire boots helping people off their roofs because of the flooding. I remember the lost circus lion on Honore. I remember the 5 Points fire and spending time enjoying soda pop floats with the Candy Stripe volunteers at the hospital while Dad was visiting the sick. I remember listening to my dad's car conversations over his police, sheriff, fire radios before car phones were even invented, much less cells. In the 60s, it was, "Car 54, where are you?" In the 70s, it was Agent 86, Agent 86. And in the 80s, it was Rev, we just clocked you going 15 over the speedometer. We need you there, bud. So could you slow down? I remember. Before the days of 911 phone calls, the suicide prevention hotlines automatically forwarded to our home. Right, John? I have a brother here who can tell me that that's true. My brother, John Hamel, you guys. I remember a very stern conversation my mom and dad had once because apparently I had answered one of those calls when I was about 8, and I said something like, "That doesn't sound like a good idea. Can you wait till my dad gets home to do that?" As our mom casually managed a world that included her roles as symphony violinist, mother of 3. To me, after you have 2, you're outnumbered. You got to go from man to man to zone defense. And pastor's wife to a trumpet-playing soldier named Bud. My childhood memories also include moments like these. In my father's arms as he offered the prayer blessing over our hometown paradise, as I do now with my grandson. I'd like to thank every child who is still sitting right now. Thank you for sticking around. When our official town chaplain, my daddy, passed away, the city, you guys, you closed Fruitville Road for 7 miles for his funeral procession. Do you know what that meant to a family to have a hometown that loves you that much? Leading his body to a place of rest in a fire truck instead of a hearse. I remember, along with my brother John Hamel, my sister Joanne, who now lives in Jacksonville and sends her greetings, the streets lined with you families paying tribute, just as we gather today to pay tribute to you. My brother and I are here at this park today as adults only because our parents brought us as children. When the mayor or just a kindly grandmother type would pat me on the head and say, "Little Janet should run for office someday, don't you think?" My dad would whisper at me with a wink and say, "Just run away, honey." You should have taken that advice, girls. And then he would answer with a smile the most famous line, respected line known in this town. The Hamels are just here to pray. I'm honored to continue this 50-year legacy of prayer with my own family. And I'm here today, yes, with my U.S. Coast Guard Master Captain Pastor husband, Tim, the grandfather that you saw taking the baby after the prayer, praying at this same park over the years with my children and now often daughter's child in my arms. Still, I never understood the sacrifice until I became an Army mom myself. I was a school teacher, so I have show and tell. Our son is serving as a cavalry scout in Fort Stewart, Georgia, 5-7 Cavalry Squadron, 3rd ID. I don't understand what that means, but this plaque he gave me for his graduation explains. He gave me a present for his graduation. My son has your back. I am a caring mother. My son has gone to war. My mind is filled with worries that I never had before. Every day I try to keep my thoughts from turning black. I may be scared, but I'm so proud. My son has got your back. Let's give a hand to every kid out there serving without a draft, without a bonus. And I know why my son went. He was 1 and my daughter was 4 during the kidnapping incident, and he was 10 when we lived in the jungle of Ecuador with the Wadani, the Auca Indians. But when he was 14, he was my official bodyguard on a Youth with a Mission Campus Crusade for Christ book tour in South Africa, where we were having some little troubles in Durban with the United States, and they made me take a bodyguard to my little book tour that had nothing to do with politics. But when he and I flew home and landed, President Bush's plane was there. We went off to sleep, and when we woke up, 911 had happened. My son wanted to serve at the age of 14. Thank God he waited till his 20s. He knows a little more about the world, but these men and girls, boys and girls, men and women, they're so brave. We took the wounded warriors sailing on the Key Breeze. Here are the leaders of that program right here. Last week, it reminded me again, this town has 2 statues. 2 statues at the Sarasota Bayfront. One is a tribute to peace, where tourists kiss, oh, we all kiss there, before hopping aboard our Key Breeze sailing vessel for a sailing cruise, or the Flying Fish, or the many other beautiful water attractions there to enjoy our Sarasota sunshine. But let's tell everyone, we have two statues. The other, hidden by trees and sorrow, is here at a park, named in honor of Dad, but it's here at a park shrouded with trees, with tears, and with names. It holds the names of those taken locally from our paradise to eternity. Names like Josh, names that sound so young. Both statues are appropriate. We enjoy freely our tribute to peace and the water sports that surround it because of the less noticed statue on this side of 41. So I really just came to say thank you, and I'm going to be doing that in a way that's stronger than saying thank you, gracias, merci, spasiba, wapuni. I want to do it with a sacrificial thing the only way I know how. And then we're going to have a few moments of silence, and then we're going to do something. I'm going to play a short medley on flute. This is my sacrificial way of thanking the veterans, as I did for the wounded warriors. Because of severe facial nerve damage sustained in a foiled Colombian kidnapping many years ago, and if this was news to you until the paper reported it this week, it's because we never told my daddy. Putting flute to lips is painful, and the only way I know to say thank you to our veterans with a gift of sacrifice they will understand. I should probably send the terrorists a thank you note, because I sure wouldn't be sailing with my childhood sweetheart across the street from a park named after Dad if the kidnapping hadn't happened. But 22 summers ago, when my husband Tim and I were serving, nobody's heard this story till this week, as Christian missionaries and relief workers, I was chemically poisoned in a kidnapping incident that ended with a life sentence of brainstem damage, severe facial nerve damage known as trigeminal neuralgia, often referred to by doctors as the suicide disease. I had 2 little kids at the time. That was not an option. I remember only waking from a comatose state 3 days later in my husband's arms. It may hurt to play the flute today, but I can feel the pain only because I am alive. Last week, I borrowed a flute from Folks Music and played a tribute to the warriors. And after 22 years of silence, I don't play the way I did when I was in the Florida West Coast Symphony or first chair flute of Florida at 14. That's not the girl you're going to hear today. But the wounded warriors understood this gift of sacrifice. You veterans will understand this gift of pain is the best way I have to thank you and our town for 50 years of raising me the right way. Now here's the part for you vets, and then we're going to have a moment of silence, and then I'm going to play. Veterans, I recognize that even though smiling causes me physical pain, smiling's more difficult for some of you. Some of you will never walk or run, or never see your father or child run into your waiting arms ever again. So this moment of silence, this little medley that's going to follow, this is for you.
amazing lady. Thank you, Janet. I'm sure of one thing, that will be remembered for years and years, maybe another 50. And we made a pact this morning, Janet and I. We've been on this corner for so long. We're gonna stick around. We may not be in the same jobs, but I bet you when we're both over 100, we'll be right here. You're hearing that, aren't you, sir? And you know, that's what makes this great city, this great county of ours. If you just look around, it's not just one, two, several like we have here. Look out there. Go to any mall. Go to any venue. Look around. You'll see the caps. They say USS 180, or United States Air Force, or the Marine Corps, or the Army, or we all know now, the Merchant Marine, and the Coast Guard. We're veterans. Makes no difference what branch. The only difference means which country. The great United States of America. I'd like to take a moment right now, draw your attention off to my right here, the Blue Star Memorial Highway marker, presented by Sarasota Garden Club. This marker honors all the armed forces men and women who have served our nation in the past, present, and the future. And the Sarasota Garden Club had that installed and maintains it for us. They also maintain the monument, all the flowers that, due to the terrible heat we've had the last few days, are wilting a little. But these great, dedicated members of our city and county spend hours and hours out here. Let's have a great hand for the Sarasota Garden Club and the Blue Star Memorial Highway. It's time now. We'll take a few moments. Any of you have brought wreaths with you, now will be the time to present the wreaths at the monument, if you like. Please come forward. Any way you can get to the monument, that's the main thing. We know where they go. Thank you so very much. This is a very historic monument. At one time was in the center of 5 Points. If you've never taken a close look, today would be a great day. We'll be closing here very shortly. Once again, thank you so very much for coming out. In a moment, we'll have Janet back with the benediction. We'll have the Sarasota Military Academy already standing in front of you doing the bagpipes. Then we'll have honors done by the VFW Post 3233. Taps played by Sarasota Military Academy, Mr. Cody Hill. Once again, thank you so very, very much. After the taps, that will be the last thing you'll hear in memory of all those who didn't make it today. Janet?
And as we're thinking about shared blood, we also have a blood bank if that's one way you would like to honor the troops afterwards. Let's bow for prayer. Lord, it's been said that good people sleep peacefully in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to perform violence on their behalf. But God, The men we met this week on our boat were young and good and wounded. And these wounded warriors didn't seem rough or violent, but polite and even at peace with their own personal sacrifices. Yet we come again today, one more time, praying for peace and safety for our men and our women around the globe. And for those already at peace with you, please give them our love. We'll all be together soon enough. Amen.
Captain, honor our fallen heroes. Please stand.